Going, nah, I don't way past that. Ask me why I go hard for my past is imagine. Waking up and never really hash it. That's when bank rolls low when I cash it. I've been doing good since my last bitch. My whole team eat when I pass it. Keep a broad fleek with some lashes. 200 on my feet, that's the max. I'm just a different nigga. I'm just a different dude. Come from a different cloud. Walking in different shoes. I just got different motives. I just got different views. I just talk different shit. So don't get it mixed screwed. I'm just a different nigga.
That's my favorite part.
Come from a different cloth. Walking in different shoes. I just got different motives. I just got different views.
Shout out Rilla.
So different shit. So don't get it mixed screwed.
There you go. There you go.
Who that is?
Yo, 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 yo. There we go. There we go. There we go. And we back 6-7 days ago. I don't know how you want to technically. Today is the 7th day.
In radio world.
You know what I'm saying? For real. But yeah, hey, thank you. I appreciate your laughter. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody done gave her a little bit too much champagne in the bubbly. But we back, man, on the Love the Jam Radio. You feel what I'm saying? A Moment with Kodak, live in effect. So Miss Lovey over here wanna go down this rabbit hole, man.
Oh, that's what it's about.
This controversial issue, apparently.
You don't think it is?
That has divided the world.
Apparently, the world.
You know what I'm saying?
The world, Craig.
About flat or round Earth. Are we living on a globe? Or is this a floating disc with a dome? Supposedly.
Supposedly.
We don't know. We may know.
We might.
Do you know?
Do you?
I'm just saying.
I want to know what you
know
think.
What I'm saying? Wow.
And then when did the first time that you even found out?
Well, the first time I even heard anything about a distinction or a difference would probably be about 5 to 6 years ago, maybe. You know what I'm saying? It ain't been too long.
Like not in school?
No. How long was that over there? Yeah, it was probably about like 5 or 6 years. No, I didn't. You know, I heard just the normal consensus of the Earth is round. You know what I'm saying? It's a globe. I never really seen any other debate. I guess that just didn't come into my vortex. You know what I'm saying? Of things to kind of decipher. You feel me? And it's kind of hard for me to formulate a hardcore opinion or a fact to be like, oh, no, this is what I would stand behind in regards to whether or not the Earth is flat or round, because I haven't done a lot of digging. I ain't done a whole bunch of research. I've seen some stuff kind of that would supposedly support both sides. You feel what I'm saying?
Support or discount?
I mean, I've seen videos and conversations where they're supporting their argument and bringing facts, so visuals, data, research, whatever to say, this is why my opinion is fact in their in their belief. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think anybody could say that there couldn't be an overwhelming amount of information. Now, whether you want to classify that as hard data, something that's actual factual, it's up to you. But there's a lot of information that can be given to say either side is true. You know what I'm saying? Each side can show you videos, photos to be like, look, see, flat. Oh, see, look, round. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's a rather a new concept?
No.
Okay.
It's more widely new. I would say it's just as new as police beating the hell out or killing black folk.
Oh, no.
It's only new because we've got cell phones to a lot of, in the perspective of a lot of people, to where it's more widely seen and accessible. So this data or information or conversations is more widely had due to the effects of social media. So to a lot of people, it is a new topic. You know what I'm saying? They able to hear stuff that they wasn't able to hear. They was in, if you want to say, in rooms that they weren't invited before. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But to others, they've been researching this shit for the last 30, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. You know what I'm saying? Having this debate, this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Let's look at the history because we can say in the beginning that the general consensus was that it was flat. It wasn't until technology and your different philosophers started putting out that questioning that did people like Pythagorean. I think that's where the whole Pythagorean theory came from,
mm,
is it uses the fact that it's like, I think it's something like when you're looking at something is going away from you and it's getting smaller from the bottom or the top, right? Like the top is bigger than the bottom
mm-hmm,
as it goes away from you. It gets smaller and disappears, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's like, why does it disappear if the world is flat? It goes out of your line of sight because the curvature of the earth
I
takes it.
mean, but I would say this.
Okay.
We can't see an infinity. So just to say that something, because it goes out of my sight, my visual cortex, and that's the support of that means the earth has to be round. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Hey,
because I mean
Jasmine.
that's the
Thank you for
same thing
tuning.
about it. Something to go out of your sight, even if something goes straight up above you, not even forward to prove the discrepancy of round. Let's go up now.
Okay,
It's
okay.
gonna get out of your line. It's gonna get out of your visual
Due to
cortex at some point.
the
That's what I'm saying.
limitation
Of
of
your
a human eye.
of just what we
But
can
say
see.
we have a telescope, something that it's technology, right? So now that's no longer the limitation.
Okay.
At some point, it's gonna disappear from the scope of this telescope because of the curvature of the Earth.
Okay.
I said that to say that these are things that people didn't necessarily need technology. They just use their regular eyes. And this is like before, 300 BC. We're talking like way, 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 way back.
Mm-hmm.
That the stuff is built on this foundation of thought. So it wasn't until someone was like, damn, why does this disappear? Then, you know what I mean? The questions start beginning to be raised or whatever. Or do you think like, no?
I will say that at some point, man losing the access to technology caused a very limited scope of what's possible and things that are out there. So from that argument, before they was able to have telescopes and looking glasses that could look at a greater distance than the human eye, you know what I'm saying? And people have been even being able to question, oh yeah, something's going out of my sight, even forward thinkers in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? That they actually started to maybe question or rebuttal the common knowledge that's out there to give a different of opinion. But I mean, I just subscribe in all honesty, I subscribe to the fact that one, this ain't our height of technology as far as human existence. I do think we were very much further advanced in technology than what we have right now as a common people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, military government, I do believe they playing with some shit that'll blow our minds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To an extent, just due to the fact of if they really let on as far as what's actually out there and accessible, because there's been such a gap in information, we would literally probably lose our rabbit minds. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I mean, just think about how we responded when we can touch our phones and move shit.
Right.
And when you actually look at that, it's like, eh, you know what I'm saying? Okay. It's almost child's play. You feel what I'm saying? But we are totally impressed. A phone that can flip in half. And I'm like, they ain't doing it but going back to the razors. They just figured out how not to quote unquote crack the screen or make it seamless
Facts.
when it opens up. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think one, you definitely we ain't the most intelligent beings in this existing of a vast universe, galaxy, whatever the case can be.
Obviously.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so just looking at some information or conversations that I've heard from that type of data, it would be almost foolish for somebody to believe that the Earth is flat.
Okay.
So what I'm saying?
Right,
So
I
it's
agree.
like,
so I understand the paradigm shift of the advancements of technologies and stuff that happened that occurred to even make people create these technologies to, make us be able to see further, that, hey, the Earth isn't flat after all. But to be in 2021 and have such a large amount of people still think this is like almost.
But I would say this. I think it would. When I hear that, I just think about, and like I say, this is crazy, but I don't want to say slightly, but I've heard conversations about DNA tampering with our current existence as humans, humanoids. Feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And just like a computer chip, you can embed things to where the computer would do certain things, recognize certain things, operate in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing conversations about things being better than us, like a worship gene.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? A
like
division a division thing, because it's like humans will seek for some shit to kind of debate against. So it's like, it's just one of those things where shit, yeah, it's bound to happen. We gonna debate whether or not the sky's really blue.
But you can only debate that down to like, we can get to science. Like, this is where science comes in and proof comes in. And
but you're still going off of whether or not somebody chooses to believe the platform or the method or the tools that you are saying the arguing with. Because if you can't even come to an agreement on that, then it don't matter that you can say, well, science this, because they can just easily be like, well, I don't believe in fucking science.
Right.
So then it's like, what's your argument to them? If the objective is to actually have a conversation to get to an understanding. But what I'm saying is, I think a lot of times we are that mature as humans, that ain't even our overall objective, is to come to an understanding. Some people gonna argue the fact just to argue the fact, because maybe it gives them some sense of relevance.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? It gives them, even to an extent of, it gives them something to drive and strive for, to be able to defend this fact. Because at the end of the day, I just start to wonder, even when I was listening to some stuff on the way over here, I'm like, okay, how does it affect our day-to-day? What impact is it truly having? Because are all of us generally trying to fly the fuck off the earth to where we really need to know and decipher whether or not this shit is round? Or are we trying to sail to the ends of the earth, to the ends of the ocean? Like, you know what I'm saying? What's the general purpose, or why does it really matter? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be on some, for it to be this conversation for this long. Meaning, like you said, it's been years and people are really just like, no, the earth is really flat. Oh, no, it's, you know what I'm saying? To even be having that argument, it's like, okay, it's a lot of the shit we need to be thinking and considering. But, you know what I'm saying?
Before we get to
in
that.
the midst of, hey, earth is round or flat. You feel what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, a lot of these things that we choose to debate about, to a grand scheme of things, it doesn't really affect our day-to-day like that.
I think it does.
How?
Not directly, but it affects our day-to-day in how we choose or how we trust the world around us. Like, when you take in stock something like accepting the world and the earth as being flat, you're also basically accepting the fact that science ain't real, and you're accepting the fact that you're going against the grain and you don't believe in the government and it's just giant conspiracy, and you know what I mean, everything around you is a fucking lie. So you move in that space rather than in the space, an educated, more educated space, or a space where you're like, you know what, I do believe this, because not just because X, Y, and Z amount of people said it's true, but because I have my logical thought, and using my logical thought, it's like, hey, how would the Earth be flat if it casts a circular, shadow on the moon during the lunar eclipse? Like, it's things that you can peel apart and get to the meat of and be like, oh, almost damn near common sense. Like,
Okay,
damn.
but here's what I'm saying. Let's just say even if a person was converted from a flat earth to a round earth, how would it drastically change their day to day?
Because they're moving in a space where they're not trusting
That's assuming that they even carry that over from that thought to actions day to day.
I mean, they would have to. In order for them to believe that the earth is flat, they would then have to believe in the conspiracy of, concealing this information. So their day to day would be very distrusting and very like,
not necessarily. It's a lot of shit that people distrust, but it doesn't really affect them day to day. I mean it in the actual habits that are continuous. Every time they wake up, in between that time to survive, thrive, or compete in this world. You feel what I'm saying? I understand that you're saying that it is safe to assume, okay, well, if a person is going to believe the earth is flat, then we can assume there's a lot of other thought patterns that come along with that. But what I'm saying is, on a wide scale, that just may not be true, because there's a lot of shit that people believe or disbelieve that really doesn't affect how they really operate.
You don't think?
Nah.
Like, if you don't trust the government to a certain degree,
people can if they in a room to actually have a discussion, they'll be able to articulate whatever side of the coin they doing. But outside of that, it ain't really dictating how they move a lot of times. Everybody's still going to a quote unquote job. You know what I'm saying? Everybody still quote unquote got to go to some grocery store. Because even if this person that's really distrust the government, there's more of them that is going to some type of government entity to get services, goods, resources from that. Oh, if you were really hardcore about this distrust, you couldn't even fuck with that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a few that do that, but not most of them. Most of them don't.
Yeah.
Like, you can even look at, when I was looking at this video, everybody that was quote unquote a flat earther, they still wearing shoes, clothes. And even with that, you still on some platform, you still on somebody else's network that is being on YouTube, whatever the case can be. The only thing that you're saying is, oh yeah, I'm happy to have a platform now. But even in saying that, everything that went along with just the whole total of what it takes for your opinion to be seen by other people, you have to trust the person that you're saying you didn't trust.
Right. Just kind of throwing a hole.
You feel what I'm saying? I'm saying when it's something that affects how we really move on a continuous basis, okay, that's something to have a conversation about.
Right.
Because I ain't gonna lie, like, the only reason why I feel like it's valid to talk about aliens and other stuff, because there is knowledge that could create definitely more possibilities for us to be able to experience. Like, we still sitting here haven't even mastered the skill of being able to talk without these words.
Right.
To where the vibration that we actually speak can hold way more power, because that's what it was kind of intended for. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
We not understanding and having conversations about, is these really spells that we speaking?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I can kind of, it's like, flat earth around earth ain't going to affect my life like that. I can make it have byproducts of a way that a person may believe, a way that they may move, this type of deal. But at the end of the day, depending on the circumstance, you will go and run behind the very person that you claim to hate, depending on the circumstance. Let that be the only person with a gun and it's a mass shooter somewhere. And y'all just fall on you was like, I hate your guts. I wish you was just aborted by your mama. But let them be the source of protection for you. It's a whole nother conversation. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, a lot of times I wish we didn't get so caught up in defending an argument. Because unless you really have the capability of really extensively studying these things to the end, like, hey, everybody want to argue. Okay, well, let's just get up in a spaceship and go figure some shit out there. Get away from the earth to look at it from a bird's eye view. Let's see. Because it's like, this is shit that can be proven. We have
And that's
technology to
the
get off
point.
the earth right now.
Exactly.
But if you ain't gonna be one of the people getting up there on that shit or funding the shit happening, are you really arguing because you really want to know, or is you arguing because it's just something to argue about? That's like motherfuckers can argue over Uno, nigga, and the rules. For real. And you be like, but how is Uno really gonna affect your life? Right now for this game, cool. Somebody can argue for a bunch of ways. It's 100 ways to play dominoes. And depending on where you was raised, what culture you was around, you can defend that to the end. No, this is how you play dominoes. You feel me?
Right. I believe when I was reading the flat earth perspective, they don't believe in space itself. They feel like the earth is floating on water, a circular disc floating on water. That's what they believe. I was trying to, run some of the beliefs. Did you anything stand out to you in their belief system as far as supporting the fact that the Earth is flat?
I didn't get that deep into
Oh, I was in there.
them.
I was in that rabbit hole. I was in there. Oh, I was in there.
Nah, I didn't get that deep because, like I said, it'd be hard for me to get that deep into it, man. Because then I just start asking other. It's like people want to go all the way to Z and don't even talk about D, the F's, the G's, the I's, the K's.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we want to go. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't know when we start talking about having an opinion about something. It should, like, to go that hard, it should really have some type of great effect on how you can operate and its basic functions. Even if we're talking about obtaining some type of level of success, only depending on the industry if you into that astronomy shit as a business model, whether the earth is round or flat, ain't gonna help or stop you from making fucking money.
No.
That don't even have to come up in the conversation. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the level I'll get to when it's like on some, how does it really affect us on a day-to-day? But like I said, I will say this, man. I do believe it's worth the conversation just to the extent of I've lived long enough to know that the people that have fed us information ain't always told us the right information. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I've also, too, lived long enough to see that some people incite shit in the conversation just to distract. You feel me?
Okay.
Like, and that's my perspective on the real conversation on flat and round earth. I think a lot of the times it's a smoke screen to argue about some shit that don't even touch the surface of where that conversation should really, really lead to. You feel what I'm saying? And so that's when I really be like, all right, well, okay, round or flat. Has there ever been people that existed that we've been able to communicate with, or our direct ancestors that have been able to leave this plane and be able to come back with data and information?
And then are you believing this information and data or processing it? You know?
I mean, I would have to say any person that's going to have the conversation about flat around earth, you coming to some consensus off of some shit you read.
Yeah.
So we have to just be like on some, in this conversation, we have to consider all data. Unless you personally went and did it.
Yeah, it's hearsay, basically.
Any book is a book.
True.
You want to go hard on discrediting the Bible and say, oh, this ain't true. Or you want to go so hard in saying the Bible is 100% fact. Okay, well then, what about somebody that say these ancient tablets is 100% fact?
Exactly.
So that's why I say a lot of times people just be arguing this shit because it's cool to argue it.
I like,
and it's something nice to spend time having conversations about, because it starts gets into that chemical release then. You know what I'm saying? Whether you start talking about dopamines and all this other shit that is chemically happening in the midst of these conversations that people won't even stop to consider and ask, is this even the basic core of why this is even relevant?
Well, relevancy is perspective. You know, I'm a very cerebral person. So these are things that I think and ponder, and it may not affect how I operate on a day-to-day
Right,
basis.
right.
But to me, like finding out different, like I guess you could say mysteries of the universe,
Most
it's like
definitely.
definitely contributes to my livelihood, or even taking that information and passing it to the future generation, um, because at first the generations were taught that the earth was flat. It was literally a shift in the paradigm, like the way.
But I would say this: yes and no. Okay.
Damn it,
Yes and no.
I gotta put it on the back.
Okay. And the reason why I say yes and no, because it all depends on. First, you have to have a conversation about how old do you subscribe to humanity and the earth being is one. And
Well,
so
isn't
then,
it indoctrinate? It's like indoctrinate. Like, I mean, you learn the earth is around since.
but no, here's what I'm saying.
Okay, I
Here's
thought
what
you
I'm
were talking
saying.
about like school.
Right. But when you start looking at how long the earth has been around, what schooling system of time frame are we considering? Because if we're just talking about, yes, within our, what is it, decade, millennial, whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? Okay, cool, true. But what about the schooling before that?
Yeah, exactly.
They
We
didn't
talking
believe
about
that the earth was
ancient.
flat.
Yeah, they did. It wasn't
No,
until Pythagorean
no, that's what
theory
I'm saying. I'm
did
talking
they.
about going back further than that.
Initially, they always thought the world was flat. They did because they thought that they would go to the edge of it and fall off, and therefore they didn't ever
Here's what I'm
travel.
saying. We're still talking about a very limited scope of time when we're talking about the actual full scope of how long the earth, how old the earth truly is, and how old humanity really is. Because see, when you start talking about those conversations, those are still within the parameters of people that want to have a conversation and say that the humanity or the earth is only 20 to 30 some thousand years old. When we talking about, there's text to say we got to get up into 100 and 200,000 years old, and we talking about people walking around.
Right.
We're not talking about just some great ball of earth and this is when the whole land mass was all put together.
Pangea.
You feel what I'm saying? We're talking about texts that can prove, quote unquote, that we way older than what people say we is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Where a lot of that comes from convenience of placing religion. That's why they stick to it so hard, because to admit that we were here before a certain amount of time would discredit a lot of.
Of course. So that's why I'm like, that's why it'd be hard to have some of those conversations about flat earth and round earth, because I'm like, there's deeper conversations. If we really want to talk about some real shit and the misleading, misinformation and shit, hey, no, let's really go deep then. You know what I'm saying? Let's really go deep, because I'm like, the source of the knowledge that we would really want to obtain, we got to get past this little bubble that we ain't that old. We only 30 years old. I mean, 30,000 years old. For real, for real. You feel what I'm saying? When we talking about as just as accessible all this other data is about flat and round earth. So hey, supposedly there's data information out there where we can go back and read when you're talking about what's the name of it? Like the Sumerian tablets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They talking about this shit is over 100,000 years old, man.
Or the Lost Sea Scrolls.
You feel what I'm saying? We talking about them being able to. People don't even question really, for real, why they got spaceships on the pyramids and these other hieroglyphs and other shit like this. Mm-hmm. Now we definitely want to say they predate
Pythagorean theorem.
Definitely predate his ass.
I agree. So you're saying
his shit
hieroglyphs? You're saying hieroglyphs had depicted the Earth as round?
Man, they was talking about spaceships and other galaxies and
not
planets.
Spaceships. Earth being round.
Yes. Okay, just because people want to gotta have an extra definitive.
Because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. Even though we're talking about that, I get that. But I'm saying it's hard for me to really get deep into those conversations, because it always is going to drive to something deeper. And if you really want to keep going, that's going to be like, well, I can't really have that conversation because I got to go, well, of course I'm going to say the earth is round just due to the fact of, and I'm saying we only having that conversation because there's a lot of information that's been lost. You know what I'm saying? To where that will be really not even need to be debated. To be for real. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, come on. Hell yeah. It's like, man, it's other planets, galaxies. Like they finding out that our Milky Way ain't even really
A Milky Way?
no, it's the Milky Way, but it's not even authentic to where they saying it's us. It's some other shit combined to it.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, definitely ain't nothing new under the sun. I mean,
shout out to Son Unique. Thank you.
But then again, I don't know if I can really say yes to that. Because they say what? Every 30 to 90 days, our body completely rejuvenates.
True.
You feel what I'm saying? There may not be, if you want to say, as far as human experience, maybe. But even to that, possibly yes.
True.
We can be as general or as broad as one want to be, whatever limitations they have in their mind. You know what I'm saying? But we'll let y'all sit on that for a minute. We're going to take a break, go pay some bills. You know what I'm saying? Go holler at Uncle Ray and Pam down the street. You know what I'm saying? And be back and holler at y'all a little later, man. You know what I'm saying? Love the Jam Radio, man. Moment with Kodak.